always been the source of news and information. So radio jocks in the African American community as large and even across the world have always been journalists / philanthropists / radio / entertainers. We've sort of encompassed it all.
Executive editor, 8-time Emmy award-winning journalist, Mr. Maynard.
10 years, you've been the top lead.
Yeah, has it been that long?
You don't have to be great. But stop wondering, given what you do, and maybe you talk to them, get into that, do you consider yourself a disc jockey, a music man, or a journalist?
I think historically it's a journalist. And I think some people would try to put a label over what being a journalist is. But traditionally in the African American community, radio has always been the source of news and information. So radio jocks in the African American community as large and even across the world have always been journalists / philanthropists / radio / entertainers. We sort of encompass it all.
And that's part of secretly a throwback, you know, what I'm saying is to personality radio. I would with Frankie Crocker. Is that back there? There was a while when the DJ was like, it was music. Have you kind of brought back personality radio? Do I tune in to listen to you or what you play?
Well, I would hope that what we were playing would draw you in, and then you would be able to hear what we're saying. And we kind of use on the Frank Morning Show, we use the music to attract the audience. Because we don't want to just be a talk show. Because as a people, we're not just people who just talk. We enjoy music, art, entertainment. We want to be funny, we want to be serious, we want to know. So we try to encompass all of that.
So it's a produce the show.
Yeah.
What's your target audience in mind? There's some suggestion, the critics are saying, oh, ghetto, school, young, no. The others say they love inspiration. How do you characterize what you do?
Well, you know, taking back to what you said earlier with the throwback, we have been blessed on our morning show to have the #1 ratings, 25 to 54, 18 to 34, and teenagers 12 to 17. So we get it all. Well, you know, we've been blessed because we've been able to, with our team, everybody plays their role. And we understand that it's really about balance. You know, if one day we got too serious and the next day we really make an effort to lighten it up so that we don't get labeled as being just one thing.
You play the show, you spend the whole day, once you're off the air, you back, you look at it the next day.
Well, it's a lifestyle. So whatever I live in my life is what we talk about. So, you know, I get show ideas from sitting at a restaurant, sitting at a bar, hanging out with friends, watching TV, listening to other people, and we come up with all of our social content.
Does the show uplift platform or entertain?
Both.
That's what the inspiration is.
Absolutely.
I mean, I like that part.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's real.
The inspirational element is the #1 piece of the Frank Morning Show. Yeah. It's the #1 piece. And it's not meant to be preachy. It's meant to give you hope and inspiration in tough times. But at the same time, give you a balance, because I truly believe that our core audience, being African American, we are always rooted in religion, no matter what the religious form is. We do have strict moral values that we would like to live by. And the inspirational element just helps us to do that.
I gotta ask you this, maybe,
Sure.
maybe it's my age, maybe it's my politics. I don't get this.
It's your age.
It's funny, but a man in the church doesn't know. How's that working? And why is that?
I think you have to understand that as a culture at large, we're made up of many different people. Not only many different colors, cultures, and religions, but, you know, people who have certain preferences and certain way they choose to live their life. And Sophia's role is not to come on and be just the gay job. It's meant to be funny, entertaining, and deliver that entertainment news in her special way.
And his life works. It's very
Absolutely.
You know,
Very popular.
Very popular.
Very
You
popular.
know, a lot of good feedback.
Right. Yes.
Say popular. Unfortunately, 11 lines. course, $11,000 years. I'm going to show started.
Yes.
$11 community. That's saying something. And I think you should be rounding part of that.
Thank you.
For your foundation. $11 community.
Saturday at 7:30, and then Sunday afternoon as well.
What does that say about you, your work, and practice?
You know, interesting enough, the foundation is not me or my wife. My wife and I run the foundation. We've got great people that work in the foundation, but really it's an extension of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ working through us. When you become a religious person and you realize that you are part of a higher being, you have a certain responsibility. And your responsibility is, as you live, you are supposed to help other people to be able to live better. It doesn't matter if you're talking about Dr. King, Jesus Christ, Mahatma Gandhi. Any religion you talk, it all talks about service. It's all about service. And the people who are happiest in their life, it's not about being successful. It's about how much they serve other people. Now, if you can figure out how to do both of those things, you make a home run. And that's what my wife, Tanya, and I aspire to do.
You seem like you're not being peaceful.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I enjoy everything that I do, but there's nothing better than the satisfaction I get from knowing that I've changed a young person's life for the better. Or I see the successes now that we've been operating for 9 years. I see that now as they go into their college years now from being in our foundation at all.
Is it about kids? Of course, you have children, or about kids unless when your heart and head is?
Well, we started before Connie and I had children. But really, it started as a way of us, because we had it, to be able to provide the kids with things that we didn't have. You know, Connie and I both grew up in sports. You know, I grew up on the science side, she grew up on the art side. But we realized there were opportunities that we couldn't do growing up. And we would see other kids that had the ability to do that. And I think for us, we realized now that we can influence our sponsors to help us, we provide that.
Does it come out of your pocket, or is it grown to the point now?
It used to. It used to. And for a major part, it still does. You know, our biggest fundraiser is at our home, because we've always believed to keep that connection. And it's one time that we open our home up to 500 people. But so it's a stress. You know, we have our own kids sometimes, and, you know, we have to do things with other kids, you take away from our own family. But at the same time, it's important for our children to know that it's all part of the process to give back.
Well, give me a thumbnail sketch of what the foundation does. What was your focus?
Our focus is seemingly simple. It is exposing kids to their future through science, technology, art, and athletics. And when I say exposing to the future, what we found out, what many people understand is, if you are the child of parents that are doctors, chances are, when you grow up and go to college, being in the medical profession or the sciences will be your first choice, because you're familiar with it. Too many of our kids don't have familiar role models for them to decide to go into careers because they've never been exposed to it. You know, saying to a child, I want you to own a shopping center like Dan is not going to happen unless you have somebody in your family who's an entrepreneur and who's a business owner. You know, and that is what we aspire to do, is to give kids that background.
You talk to everybody, you kind of post and laugh. What's your sense of this city now, after 10 years? Particularly young people, you see the drop, and a lot of things happen when you're talking about a lot of things. I hope it was disappointed by the city and where the city going. What are you excited about this city?
I think Atlanta has a major challenge. Atlanta's major challenge is they have to decide, do we want to be a big city or no? That's it. Do we want to play a game or we don't want to play a game? There are too many small, intimate rules that prohibit average people from playing the game, that it makes it difficult. So really the well-connected keep getting connected, and those who try to get in find a hard road. I don't think
it's closed down.
Yeah, it's a very closed town unless you know how to play the game. But at the same time, we are talking about doing things, and we have done things to really change. And I'll give you an example. The biggest thing about Atlanta that we need to change is the way the city looks at its entertainment and its arts. Major. Well, I think
look at it, when we fund it, or when we
both. All of it. All of it. You know, in Atlanta, Atlanta really, people will tell you historically, the city really started to change after the Olympics. We built the airport. We became an international city, but we act like a southern town. You became an international city. You want people from all over the world to visit you, but every restaurant in Atlanta takes their last reservation at 10 p.m. If you go to a basketball game at the Phillips Arena and the game is over and you want to go to dinner, you out of luck. You got Landmark Diner, Waffle House, because the city isn't playing that game. If you're in Miami and you want to go out to eat, you can go to a restaurant at 1 o'clock in the morning. If you're in South Beach, or if you're in New York, or if you're in Vegas, if you go to some of these cities, they play to win. And they understand that as an international city, you have to act like it. It's not just for the people who lived here all their life and are now in their upper ages and they're still qualified like that. I mean, a major issue is alcohol sales on Sunday.
Absolutely.
I mean, we talk about, there's a debate on raiding casinos, but clubs can't sell liquor on Sunday. I mean, what do you want to do? You want to play the game or you don't want to play the game?
What do you think about that? Is that good? Will that fly tonight?
I think I'm riding the fence. I'm not saying it won't work. My concern about casino gambling is a couple things. One, I think by and large in this country, the casino gambling has been watered down so much that the pie has been broken up so much from what used to be just Vegas and then Atlantic City to where everybody's doing it now. So that's a difficult thing.
No, real.
Yeah. The second thing is that, unfortunately, when you go to cities who have tried to use casinos as a way of revitalization, it hasn't had the proof that that's been the case. It takes a long time. For instance, Detroit, who had 3 casinos for them, is the worst economic city in the country. It's disastrous. It's not to say that it can't work. It's to say that if we're going to do it, we got to do it right. And if we're going to do it, we really got to decide. And I'll tell you one of the problems that Atlanta is facing. The city of Atlanta has always wanted to improve downtown, correct? You think there's already okay, where's all the renovation and revitalization go? Midtown, okay, wow. The city wants downtown, but Midtown and Buckhead get all the money for why? Because it's never up to a city government where revitalization is going to go. The city government cannot say, put your condos and hotels here. It doesn't work. The business leaders, so what has to happen is, as they plan for casinos coming to Atlanta, it's got to be a conversation with the landlords. It's got to be a conversation with the business community to make sure that they are a part of the process. Because if it's just something the city's going to do, it's going to fail miserably. The business community has to support it, and then they have to make certain consignments to say, you know what, if he puts casino gambling in the underground, then we will build a hotel next door, or we will build the shops around. We will improve the downtown. You can't have one without the other.
So much to talk to you about. So I'll skip around a little bit. Okay. About the reason this is here tonight. What's your gauge on that? Is it still going on market? Or is it because Atlanta's fading, is the industry fading as well?
No, Atlanta still is the #1 music market. But Atlanta, what people don't understand, it's not just the #1 music market. It's the #1 place to live for African Americans. So it doesn't matter if you're doing music, movies, or playing sports. And really, the interesting thing is you can't talk about music alone now. Sports, movies, music is all the same thing. It's all entertainment.
But it really is about that. People really, although still, something will come down. What's the magic that you know?
Well, the magic is the people who are coming from other cities, who finally become successful and they make it, and they look for something new, want like people like them, and this is the city where everybody is. So when you come to Atlanta, it's a natural connection. And you want to come. I mean, some people came here because of Freaknik, some people came to the Olympics. You take your pick, you know. But this is a beautiful city to live in.
What keeps you here? And what do you say? And then the blues you moved up?
Yeah, but Atlanta is a beautiful city, and I'll explain to you why. Atlanta really is one of the last major big cities where you can come into the city and live like a city person, or you can drive 15 minutes outside the city and nobody will know who the hell you are. You know, and that's I mean, if you lived in New York, you have to go an hour before you not call New York anymore. You know, you go outside of New York, you still got a New York state of mind and a New York attitude. Miami, the same thing. In LA, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's LA proper or you live out somewhere else. You still have that brand. In Atlanta, you have people that just live their life comfortably. They still have Southern hospitality. They're still nice. People still talk to you. People still say, hey, how you doing? You can still go to a club and accidentally step on somebody's shoes and apologize and keep it moving. You know, it's a beautiful thing.
Are you staying?
Absolutely.
No thoughts on one hour being chasing the
No, you know, modern technology says you can live wherever you want to live now and do it. You know, so, no, I would say.
Other stations competing for something?
I would hope so. We'll see. We'll see.
Are you in any contract?
My contract is soon. Yeah, it's soon. It's this year. But, you know, my concern is, and everybody that works around will tell you, my concern is what is the best fit for what we do and how we can help improve where we live. That has been our success. So to leave that base of saying, are you going to let me support my people? Are you going to let me stop the music and talk about this issue? Are you going to let me deal with the issues that need to be dealt with? Are you going to let me interview the people that I need to interview? Because if those things start getting clipped and regimented, then it's time to go.
Is that part of the negotiation where you are or where you might want to go? That's important to this.
Both, everywhere. It has to be.
I'm not trying to get personal. Are you the top? You're the top rated morning man. You the top rated?
Am I the top paid in morning radio? I don't know. I mean, you know, there's still a certain amount of unfortunate racism as far as getting paid in the entertainment industry. You know, whenever you can get a Rush Limbaugh and he gets a $30 million signing bonus to come back, you know, and that's just a bonus. That's just, here's a check for $30 million to come back. It's you know that we're still not playing on the same field.
The newspaper industry was hurt so much by the internet and the media falling off. Is radio booming now, or is internet radio booming? What's the state of your industry?
Well, I think radio has to become more creative to go for those dollars. The internet is very important. You know, just to give you an example, 3 years ago we were in Hong Kong, and I saw a man standing on the street corner watching the news live on his cell phone. So anywhere you go in China and Hong Kong, as you go from one neighborhood to another, your phone will beep and tell you where you are. With all the things that we're just starting to see in this country, they've had for a long time. They've been wireless for a long time. They've had internet in their cars for a long time. You know, if I could get in my car and have internet radio in my car and punch up any station in America or around the world to listen to, you better get ready to compete on a different level. Yeah, and they're working on it.
We're going to get to the part now with some questions. No questions? Okay. Let me ask you guys. Actually, who you talking to somewhere? Everybody. From TI to artists around the world. Let's tell me two of your interviews.
Okay.
One, Wayne Williams. I really, as a journalist, and I was here to listen to the show.
Right.
Much better.
I was really impressed by
Shot is much better.
the campaign crusade for you. What's the situation? Will you ever have? Do you think?
I think very interesting about Wayne Williams. I don't think Wayne Williams committed the true crimes that they convicted him for. They blamed him for 40 murders or something like that. But I don't think he did the 2. Did he do any of the 40? I don't know. But I know he didn't do, but I don't know. But I would suspect from what I've seen and being very close that he did do those 2. The city was in a very particular situation where they had to get rid of negative press. It was about to jump off into a race riot, and they really needed a scapegoat. And they found it. And interesting enough, they convicted him on DNA evidence before they knew how to do DNA.
Very well. No, you're a political person. You're political. And one of the, when it throws a man for personality like a man, but one of the other enemies that intrigued me is a lightweight. Mayor Bill Campbell is a friend.
Mayor Bill Campbell is a close friend, and I've always believed, I'm a kind of person where I ride it out. You my friend, you my man. I'm not, just because the tide is going against you, I'm not going to be that person. Because that's
back when that friendship still be asking that question?
You know, when I interview people, I ask you the question. You answer it. I may say, well, I didn't get the answer I wanted and ask you again, but I think people are smart enough to read between the lines. So I would hope that my listening audience is intelligent enough to gather their own opinion. I'm not, that's not really my style. So when it came to interviewing Bill Campbell, when he was the mayor, I gave him the respect of being the mayor. And that's what my job is. I will always give a politician the respect of their job. I may not agree with you, I may not even like you, but I'm going to give you the respect of what you do. And I help, Bill and I had one argument on the air. Yeah, I was in Buckhead in that traffic and saw the craziness going on with the clubs down there. And, he tried to convince me that they were on top of it. And I was like, oh, I was in it. I left the club where everybody was. So, but at the same time,
some would say doing it with troubles out of it, he kind of used your personality. That's to use the airways.
You know what? Absolutely. And as he should. He's a black politician and I'm a black announcer. And you know what? If they can't trust me to go in and get some sympathy, who can they trust? Because the other media wasn't giving them. And at the end of the day, I will tell you this. I've had very intimate, private conversations with Bill Campbell, and I would not want to be in the position of being a black mayor dealing with some of the business people in this city who have never had anybody black in their entire life telling what they can and can't do. And you, a black mayor, now telling me what I can and can't do. So when he was convicted, I think a lot of his conviction was personal. So for him to be able to express personally on the air, he should have the right. Because he was a convicted person. Does it, we can go around. Does the time fit the crime? At the end, he was convicted of $13,000 of not paying back taxes. We have people on the state commission that owe more than $13,000 that are politicians.
It had something to do with his demeanor.
Well, let me say something to you. You asked in your previous interview, you asked about minority participation. $6 billion for the Atlanta airport. Now we're at $8 billion. If you told somebody they had to spend 30% of that money on minority people, how much is 30% of $6 to $8 billion? That's a lot of money to tell somebody how they have to spend their money. And I think he ruffled some feathers, and there were some people who were very powerful that were upset with what he was doing. What he does in his personal life is his personal business.
Tell us about how he is now.
Bill Campbell's doing well. He's doing very well now. He's happy. Yeah, he's happy. He still spends a lot of time with his children. He spends a lot of time at home with his wife. He's down in Florida. And he's a very smart person. He was the only person that I knew that actually read cover to cover 4 newspapers every morning. So he was a very, learned man.
From from Bill Campbell, previous mayor, what's your thinking of the current crop of marijuana? And you can show the right who's went from being clean to now being castigated by something.
You know, it is going to be tough for any of the candidates that are running now to do the job they need to do. The reason why is because the city of Atlanta sits in Fulton County. Fulton County is jacked up. Let's keep it real. Fulton County, you got South Fulton and North Fulton. North Fulton don't want to be in Fulton County. South Fulton ain't getting no money from North Fulton County. You got Dunwoody and Sandy Springs and others who are just trying to go already. Fulton County is jacked up. And dwindling by the minute. The city of Atlanta is in Fulton County. That's number one. Number two, in order for Atlanta to be successful, here's what people need to understand. The city population is only 500,000 people. There's only 500,000 people in the city. There's 500,000 people paying into the tax base of the city. There are no toll roads. You don't pay a toll coming in on 75, 85. You don't pay tolls coming in on 20. You know. So, but at the same time, the city doesn't get help from the surrounding counties.
What city?
Cobb County don't like the city of Atlanta. They have their own transit, their own everything. They don't like Atlanta. Gwinnett doesn't like Atlanta. DeKalb halfway likes us. You know, so you understand what I'm getting at here. You know, so the person that comes in to become the new mayor, in order for them to be successful, has got to have a relationship with the other county commissioners surrounding Atlanta. They need to have a relationship with the governor. The governor of the state of Georgia needs to get on his case and unify these counties. They need to stop playing games with Marta, and they need to stop.
That's my last question.
Yeah, they need to stop.
What do you hear from your folk about Marta? I mean, it's devastating.
Well, let's keep it real. If you and I go out there and we're tourists, and we say, you know what, that guy FranSki's playing at Uptown Lounge, and we come to Uptown Lounge, okay, how are we getting home? How are we getting home? Well, we can't drive, we're tourists. How are we getting home? You can't go out on Peachtree and fly a cab. You can't catch a bus at 2 o'clock in the morning. So going back to what I started, if the city wants to play ball, they got to play ball. So transit is a major part of it. You can't expect to do better when people can't stay downtown and get to Buckhead easy enough, or go to Midtown, or vice versa.
You've gone on.
Thank you, my friend.
FranSki, one minute. The man that is.
Of newsmakers is to get other people who have an effect on African American life in this nation and specifically in the city to talk candidly in a relaxed environment. People always ask me, well, you can do this at the Atlanta Life building, or you can do this at this auditorium or that auditorium. There's a reason we do it here. We do it here because it's a relaxed environment. It's an environment intrinsic to the African American experience, and it's part of our culture. We've been fortunate enough to have most of the leaders that influence African American life in this city, and many of those who influence African American life in this country. Truly responsible radio DJs are rare. FranSki is one of those rarities. We appreciate his community concern. We appreciate his concern for people all over the world and all types of people. But more importantly, the fact that he's willing to leave his perch, come down here, sit at this table, and answer questions that are posed to him in a responsible manner indicates that his ability to influence both cultures and to bring both cultures together is significant for us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. This has been Newsmakers.